Happy Sunday, Sooner Nation. It's officially OU Texas week as the Sooners will be facing the #1 Texas Longhorns, just announced in the AP poll. It's been 40 years since the Sooners have played against the #1 ranked Texas Longhorns. You go back to 1984 when Mack Brown was the offensive coordinator for the Oklahoma Sooners. Thanks for watching our videos here at the Sooner Surge. Make sure you're subscribed, you turn on your notifications. Going to be a lot of content coming your way this week. Also, check out the Fan Stop at thefanstop.com. You're going to want to order the upside down Longhorn hat and do it by tomorrow if you're going to want that shipped to your place by game day. Thefanstop.com. Guys, AP poll is out. I don't think it's a shock that OU didn't move up very much. There was a lot of carnage yesterday with things happening, upset specials throughout college football world. But right now, Texas is the #1 team in the country, and OU gets to go up against Texas as the #1 team and has a chance now to make a massive statement. Not that they didn't before that, but thoughts, guys?
Yeah, Oklahoma moved up to 18. Three-way tie. I don't remember. I remember occasional two-way ties. A three-way tie, that's rare. There was also a tie with Iowa State and Notre Dame at 11. So interesting in that sense, but kind of what you would expect after, seven top 25 teams yesterday going down, nearly the 8th in Miami. If they didn't pull off down 28 points in the second half, they ended up winning that game against Cal. So, I mean, that's really what you expect when you have 3 top 10 SEC teams losing. There's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of close votes in the poll, and that's really how it is. I mean, you look at number 6 with Bama and Miami at 6, Bama at 7. There's 5 points in between the two of them. It's a very close margin to determine that 6 and 7 ranking. And same can be said about many other rankings, as well as Oklahoma at 18, tied with Indiana and Kansas State.
Fact of the matter is, it's so early in the season that any team that they lose and have one loss, it's really hard to kind of figure out. I mean, I tried myself to go through my top 10, top 15. It's very difficult to figure out who's better than who. You do this and you throw it away. I mean, I have no clue what it is. I mean, do you guys? Seriously? Do you, Jeremy?
Here's what I'm going to say about
I mean,
everything. I wish you asked me a question, but
yeah, go ahead.
I wish that the rankings would go away until the College Football Playoff Committee.
I'm with you.
Announced. I think in the future it's something to look at. Everyone plays their schedule. You play who you play. You beat who you beat. You lose to who you lose to. And then the College Football Playoff Committee, I think, has to kind of set the bar, because right now again, they've always had preseason rankings. That sets the bar. And then depending on how teams play out, that will adjust as you go. But this year, like you said, Jay and Hunter, I don't really care about how many points are separating 6 and 7 right now, because I just don't know with one-loss teams how you're going to separate and define who's better.
Hey, the thing is, you have to get to 12. I mean, 11 really, because the group of 5. But you have to get to 11 if you want to make the playoff. I think it's very evident to me. Now, I think, Hunter, you might disagree with this, but it's very evident to me, if you go off last year and you go off the rankings in the polls this year, the playoff committee, I think, is going to value wins over good teams more than bad losses. And that's just what I think is going to happen. You lose to Vanderbilt, okay, it's fine. You beat Georgia the week before. OU goes and beats Texas next week, and then they go and lose to South Carolina. Well, you beat Texas. I think they're going to value bigger wins against quality teams more than they are losses to bad teams. I will say this, though. I think what you're seeing this year, specifically in college football, is how it's transfer portal and all this. It's almost like you kind of say NFL with free agency. You're going to have teams lose to teams that shouldn't beat them more often, because I think there's quality players on some of these bad teams. I don't think they're as bad as they used to be. Vanderbilt's not a good team, but Vanderbilt is not the Vanderbilt that they were a few years ago. They're just not. You could go down a list of teams like that. So I think there's a lot more parity than there's ever been. You're going to have 12 teams make the playoff. And I think that's what makes it great is that number 12 can beat number 1 on the first round of the playoffs. It could happen, even though they won't play because of the bye week. But I'm just saying, anybody can probably win that. Right now, I think you got Texas, Ohio State, and I don't know who else. To me, those are the 2 clear-cut top teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they got the top 3 right in Texas, Ohio State, Oregon in that order because, again, Georgia lost to Bama. But also back to what you were saying about the committee, they very well may value wins over losses, Jay. It's too early to say that. We don't know.
It's not too early.
It is. I mean,
they did it last year.
And again, this is 12 teams. This is also, I mean, look at the SEC right now. You have Bama losing to Vanderbilt. You're having teams losing games that, and
how far did they drop?
They dropped 6 spots, Jay.
Not very far.
Yeah, and I get that, but it's also
why did wait real quick? Why did they not drop very far? Because of why?
Because they beat Georgia.
That's my point.
Okay, and again, it's still, you can't say it in stone. I don't know how they're going to evaluate it. I would think head to head is going to be the biggest factor before wins over losses and all that. And they might, Jay, but they might not. It's a lot different because, I mean, in the SEC, it's 16 teams now. It's not East, West. Your champion of the East plays the champion of the West. It's the 2 top teams play each other in the conference championship. Same thing in the Big Ten. There's no divisions anymore. There's super conferences. It's going to be different in ways in which the committee ranks teams. And I think you're also going to see more losses than you would normally see from the top end teams.
Unfortunately, the college football playoff committee in years past, and I don't expect it to be different. They're going to base their first rankings a little bit based on where teams are in the AP poll. They're human beings. Unless you're going to go back and just clean slate everything, but that's what's going to happen. That's not how it should be. They should be setting everyone's resume up and say, well, this team did this, but they're not. They're going to say this team was ranked high early. I do think there is something that's going to be, I think, a very important ingredient to a team making the playoff. And you ready for it? It's what have you done for me lately? That's always been the success kind of in the past. You say, well, if you're going to lose, you got to lose early. I think that's still going to happen because a team rolls off. If you don't lose your last 5 or 6 games in the SEC, other teams are going to lose ahead of you. You're going to start passing them all.
Well,
you can lose early as long as you don't lose late, basically.
You're going to beat quality teams down the stretch.
Exactly.
But here's a perfect scenario, though, right now, and why I think right now it means something because, yeah, you could say I beat a team that was ranked this high, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean a whole lot because I can make an argument right now, and I'd have a pretty good one if you wanted to argue with me about it, that Texas A&M should be ranked about 6 or 7. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't be ranked above Ole Miss. What I've watched from Texas A&M, they've looked. I mean,
they blew out Mizzou.
So, and where are they ranked? They're ranked 15. So yeah. I'm just saying, like, there's still a lot out there that you could make arguments for.
But A&M was the highest riser in the poll. They went up.
They rose a lot.
10 spots. That's more than anyone else. By wide margin. Next highest was 5.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is we can sit here and say this all we want, Jay, about A&M and others, and I agree to you. I agree with you that they should lay all the teams out, look at the resumes, and then give their first selection. But here's what I will say. It's going to work itself out because a lot of these teams play each other.
Hey, you're right about that, but I want to say something to what you said about lay all these teams out and look at their resumes. Jeremy, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Notre Dame, who beat Texas A&M, lost at home to Northern Illinois. Okay, so you cannot lay resumes. Real quick, you can't lay resumes out. To me, this is what it's going to come down to for the playoffs. You can say what you want. It's about eye test. That to me is 75% of the rankings. In my opinion, if I was on the committee, how I would rank them, I'd be like, okay, OU and Alabama, who's going to win that game? I'm going to pick Alabama. Then I'm going to pick Alabama over OU. I think that's how they're going to rank these teams. It's going to be based on who they think would win the game. And Jeremy, shake your head all you want. That's fine. Okay, I don't care.
The college football playoff committee guys has a responsibility to all of America to do their due diligence, Jay. This is not, I'm going to look at it and say who I'm going to pick in the game. I think that is a bad take because they have a big responsibility. They look at way more than you think.
Jeremy, I don't disagree, but when I'm saying when you take all these teams, there's going to be a lot of resumes that you're going to be looking at saying, what's the difference? There's,
I agree. You got to take in a Northern
There's
Illinois
got to
block.
be. I think the Notre Dame example there with A&M. I mean, how do you justify that? Because I mean, if you watch that game, A&M looked bad, lost to Notre Dame, and then what? A week later, 2 weeks later, Notre Dame loses to Northern Illinois.
and Hunter, if you picked it right now,
and blows out Mizzou, so like it's you're getting both sides there.
and Hunter, you're right. And you pick it right now, tomorrow, if they played, who would you pick?
Out of A&M and Notre Dame,
Notre Dame.
A&M.
I would probably pick A&M, but
So would you rank them ahead of Notre Dame?
I-
You see what I'm saying? I mean,
Hey,
I'm glad I'm not a
Jay,
voter.
but here's where you're wrong, Jay. Here's where you're wrong, Jay. And I'm going to say it. You think the head-to-head matters? Bama beat
Yes.
Georgia. They're not ahead of Georgia.
hey, real quick,
But
Bama
that
beat
also
Georgia.
that kept Bama from falling.
no,
Florida.
but Jeremy's right. Head to
One
head
loss and
should
Bama beat
matter.
Georgia.
Head to head should matter if you both have one loss. Period.
But
Alabama
it's
should
too
be
hard
ahead
to
of
tell,
you.
guys. All I know is it's going to be fun. A lot of it's going to
Be
even
crazy.
itself out. There's going to be a lot of teams play each other, and that's why OU has a lot in front of them, guys. What this means for OU is first, OU's got to take care of business Saturday. Somehow, some way, find a way. Sooner Magic, get this win against the number one team, because at that point, you've got a lot of teams lined up in front of you on your schedule where you can gain a head-to-head advantage. And that's not just OU. That's teams across the country, specifically in the SEC. All I know is it's going to be an all-out battle, chaos, whatever you want to say, towards the College Football Playoff Committee announcing who the 11 teams are along with the one group of 5. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here at the Sooner Surge. We'll be here to cover it all, and we'll see you next time.